Hey kids, welcome to lesson 12, Loops and Simulations, number 3, Changing the Loop Condition. Currently, our loop condition is based on a counter variable that tracks the total number of flips, but our simulation should only run while we have fewer than a target number of heads. In this exercise, you're going to change the condition used by your while loop so that your simulation terminates once you have flipped 5 total heads. At the end of the loop, we'll write the total number of flips to know how many flips it took to get 5 heads. We have a do this. Change a looping condition to use the variable you are using to keep track of the number of heads. Your loop should run as long as you have fewer than 5 total heads. Add code after your loop that writes the total number of flips. Test your program several times to make sure it is working as expected. See the example below. Note, the simulation is always terminating once it's flipped its 5th head. Sometimes this means, though, the text output runs off the screen. We're going to address this in another exercise. We have an example over here, and it looks like it is going heads 1, heads 2, heads 3, outputting that, and then telling me the total number of flips. Pretty interesting there. What do we have to do? We're really changing the conditions of the simulation itself. How we have it written right now, it is running 10 simulations. Doesn't matter how many heads, how many tails, doesn't matter anything. It just matters that 10 simulations have run. And what we really need to do is we want to run the simulation to get to 5 heads. So what we really need to change is that while condition right there. What do we want to say? If we were looking for a certain number of simulations, we use simNum. We have another variable there, numHeads. And I bet if we set numHeads to some number, say 5, it'll keep running until that numHeads equals 5. That means in my while loop, I'm going to take away this and go to numHeads. And right now, it would run as long as there's less than 10 numHeads right here, or ones picked during the flipping. I don't want 10. I want to stop at 5. Right now, how my code works, my simulations are set to 0. The number of heads, or ones, is also set to 0. While the number of heads is less than 5, it's going to keep flipping or picking a random number between 0 and 1. That is getting stored in flip. Every time flip equals 1, or the random number 1, it's going to add 1 to our numHeads variable. That makes sense in my head. We still have one thing to do, though. We need to add some code that writes the total number of flips. So we need something at the end that does something. Since it's at the end and it's doing the total, I think it's going to be outside this bracket. So that's where I'm going to start at right now. It needs to be printed to the screen, so we need a write. And they want to know the total number of flips. So total flips, and then we can do plus simNum. We're still adding to simNum down here. Every time it goes through this while loop, it's adding to the simNum. So all we're doing here is just calling that variable up here, simNums. Let's give it a try and see if it actually works. Let's hit run. Ooh, we went off the screen. Reset again, run. Here we are. So it took 7 total flips, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we had 5 heads, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That worked right. Let's try again. Reset, run. 8 total flips, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 5 total heads, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like everything is running as it should. It looks like our code is working as intended. Every time a simulation runs, simNum is going up by 1 and getting stored, and we're writing at the end here. Every time we're getting a random number of 1, we're increasing our variable num heads right here by 1, and that is also getting it written over there. Looking back at our do this, we did change the looping condition from simnum to numHeads. Our code did write the total number of flips and the number of heads. I think that's all code.org wanted from us. Let's see if they want anything else. No. Good job, kids. I'll see you on the next lesson.